Okay, what is up, YouTube? This is CW from GoatCast Hoops, and this is ready for the reaction. It's been a while. I think the last time I've done one of these is during January. So it's been, I try to do them every month, but unfortunately, life's a lot, and unfortunately, my weekends are busy. Even and today was another busy weekend. My son had an AAU tournament. Started at 9:35 this morning, concluded at around 7:30. So uh came right here, got the kids some food to eat, and now here we are. Right now I'm not sure about Q from Opinion Stated. Hopefully he'll be able to make it over. I know he was on the Format podcast earlier today, so I'm not sure if that's still going. But hopefully he'll be able to make it. And IQ, who was also going to join us, he's not feeling well, so we hope he gets better soon, and he gets a speedy recovery. It's the seasons are changing, so everybody's feeling a little bit drowsy. The allergies are kicking up, so you just never know when that pollen's going to hit you the wrong way. So appreciate you guys coming out. Super chats are open, so if you're feeling generous, please, help the channel any way you can. Always appreciate you guys. Have some videos out there. I have, the truth about LeBron James and his false narratives. That's out now on the channel. Shaq, how good would Shaq be in this current era? And also some of Michael Jordan's rivals, the little men that kind of gave him problems throughout his career. So go check those videos out. They're on the channel. But let's get into this because interesting time in the news for the NBA is kind of overshadowed. The NFL draft is coming up, things of that nature. But LeBron and Stephen A. Smith are going to war. You kind of want to see this with actual players, like it used to be, where the players were going to war instead of a player and the sports media person. But thus is the new age of media and the NBA. So those two are still going at it. Of course, we had the LeBronversation, as they titled it, on Pat McAfee earlier this week. Wasn't really advertised like that. I didn't even know it happened until later that day, and somebody, actually Q from Opinion Stated, actually was the one that informed me about it, because I was just hearing little stuff about some LeBron interview. I was like, what is that about? And he told me about it, and I went and watched. Very interesting hour. I thought Pat McAfee was a little, he was a little fanboyish in his questions, and the way he kind of presented the questions, and how he reacted to some of the questions. He didn't really hit LeBron too hard when it came to kind of digging a little deeper, and that's what you kind of want to see. Then there's, those, myself included, that kind of wondered, well, he's going on Pat McAfee. Why wouldn't he go on Draymond? Why wouldn't he go on Club Shay Shay? Why wouldn't he go on, the Shannon Fry and Richard Jefferson? I don't even know the name of the podcast, but their podcast, and maybe even Stephen A. If those two want to really chop it up, I know there's some animosity there, but if you really want to, come to grips with what's going on, and even Gil's Arena, why wouldn't? Because Gil's seems to be his biggest fan. I would love to see a LeBron interaction with Cemetery Larry himself, Rashad McCants, but no, he decided to go on Pat McAfee, and the results were a lot of polarizing comments, a lot of things that people have run with. And I didn't initially react to it because I don't have time to just jump on here and react to some stuff, but a lot of people have, and thus we have ready for the reaction for tonight, March 29th. My son had an AAU tournament, didn't go as planned. They lost one game, so they missed out on the championship game. They won the silver, but we're not doing silver. We won gold. So they had a little rough time, but it's a learning experience. So we're going to jump right into some of these reactions. We have some Dreamers Pro. We have some Sports and Fitness Rants. I'm sure you know who that guy is. Sports T If you don't know who they are in this YouTube verse, and you should know who they are and check them out. The Basketball Show, a channel I haven't watched a lot of, but I did catch his remarks about LeBron and some of the interview. And we do have some Cemetery Larry, Gil's Arena, and even Stephen A. and some of his crew also. So we're going to, I don't know how much, I'm not going to play I might not play all these clips, but we're going to try to go through these clips and hear what these creators have to say. And, if we agree with them, and we'll just react to what they've had to say. So
most stupid shows that we've ever touched on and probably ever. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So I'm pretty pissed off, but I'm trying to hold myself together here. So LeBron James went on the Pat McAfee show, right? Mr. Black Power, Black Power, Black Power, Black Power, Black Power that never goes on any black platforms.
Is that fair? Is that fair? Y'all let me know. Is that fair for him to say that? Now, LeBron's kind of selective with where he shows up. So, I mean, I understand that. He's got to protect the brand. He can't just be showing up anywhere on any podcast and just, all willy-nilly. He's $1 billion commodity, so he can't just go wherever he wants to go. He's got to be kind of selective and do something that's going to, be best for him. But, we'll touch on that later.
I ain't never seen you on Gil's Arena. I ain't never seen you on Draymond Green's show. I ain't never seen you on none of these podcasts that all of these podcasters that be up there twerking it up all day long for you. I never seen you on these dudes' platforms. The Kelsey brothers, you ran up there. The Pat McAfee show, you ran up there. You minded the game with JJ Redick. Now you're about to mind the game with Steve Nash. Ain't no brothers out there for you to mind the game with, bro. Ain't no other brothers out there for you to mind the game with. I'm just saying, inquiring minds need to know. I just want to know, because for as much black power as you talk and all that black nonsense and black, you sure? I don't see it. Where's it manifesting at? That's what some of his ridiculous supporters like to do. They like to say, oh, LeBron is pro-black. Where? Pro-black how? How? Because he goes up there and says black people this and black people that. That means you pro. That's what it takes, just to go out there and say black people this. Where was the pro-blackness when Kyrie was getting thrown under the bus? I didn't see that. I didn't see that. He was up there. I didn't see that.
He's put on a lot of his friends.
But nevertheless, we're going to digress. So, as you guys know, a few months ago, there was this stupid movement that came out called We're Done with the 90s, right? One of the most stupid movements that's probably come out in quite some time. And you had a bunch of dweebs and bozos running around the internet feeling like they accomplished something. That, players in the 90s couldn't play ball. Michael Jordan couldn't go left. And I'm sitting there looking at these dudes like, are we being serious? They thought it was something real. They thought they were doing something. They thought, we're gonna attack Jordan's legacy. We got him now. Oh, we got him now, because they ain't got nothing left. They ain't got nothing left but just a jar of honey. That's all they got left. So they was going on, and so some people started asking like, yo, where's this coming from? Now, I already suspected that it came from the LeBron James camp. I already suspected that. You had clown ass Nick Wright and all these guys running up there and twerking it up all day long, trying to support that nonsense. This is something, it was like a movement that was going on. And then LeBron goes on Pat McAfee today, and he says something about players from the past and eras in the past that 100% solidified for me that he was behind that campaign that targeted the 90s and the era that Michael Jordan played in. So for those of you who didn't hear this nonsense that LeBron spewed on the Pat McAfee show, take a listen to him here. Then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to this nonsense.
Here's a little taste of the interview. LeBron talking about how he believes current players would fare in the NBA 50 years ago.
You trying to tell me Giannis wouldn't be able to play an NBA game in the 70s?
Hincha, he wouldn't be able to do it.
Giannis,
neither would you. Neither would you.
Giannis Antetokounmpo would have 250 points in a game in the 70s. 250.
Is that Kuzi? When was Kuzi playing?
All right, so Cousy played in the 50s and the 60s. So there were so many things about this conversation that bother me. And I understand what he's saying. First and foremost, of course, he's right. Giannis Antetokounmpo would dominate, as any athlete in the modern day would. There were a couple of things that bother me about this. In the interest of time, I will limit my comments to two. One of them is the modern generation of player gets very, very sensitive when you compare them to players of the past. But they are very comfortable comparing themselves to player of the past. I don't love that inconsistency. The other part of it is, if all we're going to argue is players now are bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic, well, then that's the end of the conversation. The Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line in the 1970s, the heaviest guy weighed 275 pounds. What position would he play now? Linebacker? So, I mean, obviously, we've gotten bigger, we've gotten stronger. All of that is obviously true. But the idea... That feels very disrespectful to me. There were great players in the 1970s. And by the way, Bob Lanier in the 1970s would have picked up Giannis Antetokounmpo and dunked him. And then Giannis would have been looking around saying, why isn't that a flagrant two? While he was flying into the stands. So, look, the players of today are brilliant players. Right. And I'm not taking anything away from them. And LeBron is on the very short list of the greatest players we've ever seen in the history of any sport in this country. But if the best argument you have is, well, look how much more athletic and skilled we are now, well, that's the end of any conversation, and it isn't an interesting one because it could be made for any sport at any time. The idea that those guys weren't great players then, as one who watched them play, it offends my sensibility. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we know what LeBron was doing there. He was, he wasn't serious. 250 points, come on. As good as Giannis is, but the question is, why didn't he put himself in that situation? Why didn't he say himself? Why did he put Giannis in that situation instead of LeBron James himself? Why do we have to wonder what Giannis would do in the 70s instead of what LeBron would do in the 70s? Does he feel like he'd score 300 points because Giannis could score 250 points? But that's nonsense. You had Artis Gilmore. You had, Wilt was a little bit on the decline, but he was still Wilt. You had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in his absolute prime. So, and plus Giannis in that era would probably foul out before he'd even get any time before he got 20 points, he'd probably foul out because he can't just barrel over guys like he tries to do now. It's a different situation back then. They were not as lenient on those type of calls in the 70s, and they called it a little bit more by the book back then. I mean, yes, every era has some leniency, but you just can't run guys over. That would be an offensive foul. Yes, they let a little bit of physicality go back then, but you can't just barrel over guys. You can't just put your shoulder down and just run over them and dunk over them. That contact will be called. So Giannis would have to change his style. And plus, they're not, he's not going to be facing up all the time. He'd have to play on the block, back to the basket. And those guys are not going to let him get where he wants to go. As quick as he may be, they're not going to let him get where he wants to go. They're going to push him to, spots where he's not comfortable. Giannis ain't the greatest mid-range shooter. So if he's not able to just do whatever he wants to do and barrel over these guys, it's going to be a tough night for Giannis. But, I'm still wondering why LeBron never used himself in that situation, but that's neither here nor there.
I agree. I think this is just it's a silly argument. Like I talk about, back in the 70s, guys they had jobs in the offseason. Think about that.
Maybe not in the 70s, but at one time, yes.
No, but there were guys who literally had... They don't do what we do now. Right. This is in today's modern sports era, along all of these sports leagues, guys train all year round. Yeah. All year round. Those guys they weren't doing the things that modern day players are doing. So I just think it's just a silly argument to try to, again, compare what these guys are now, skill-wise, it's body types and stuff to guys that 20, 30 years ago.
Way longer than that. Dr. Ernie Vanderway, who played for the Knicks, was a doctor and literally only played home games. He didn't travel with the team because he was a doctor.
Right.
And so to make a comparison between those obviously is nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So you heard what LeBron James had to say. LeBron was behind that. We're done with the 90s nonsense. He was 100% behind it. He was 100 because it benefits.
Do y'all think LeBron was behind?
Who does it benefit the
90s?
most? Him. Because what it does is it props him up, props up his era, and therefore he seems greater to his ridiculous followers that believe it's not. He was behind it, and these comments solidified it.
You know, I'm pro Dreamers Pro most of the time, but I do not agree with what he said. I don't think LeBron has that type of time to put together a media frenzy to make his generation look good and to downplay the 90s. You know, I don't think he started. You know, he might have relished in it and enjoyed it, and he probably shared it and you know, probably liked some of those videos and liked some of that media, but he didn't. I don't think he started. I think that's just, you know, we know Dreamers Pro, and he's not the biggest LeBron James supporter, so he's just talking. But yeah, no, I don't think, you know, from that interview, if you gather that he was the one that started, we are done with the 90s. I just don't think that's. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a good talking point, but I absolutely disagree and don't think that's the case. So let's move over to the basketball show, who will play a few clips of the LeBron interview, the LeBronversation, and give his take on, you know, what he thought about what LeBron had to say.
All right, everybody. LeBron James went on ESPN on a podcast, and oh boy, there's a lot to unpack. And before I say anything else, I have to tell you that you can directly see that ESPN wanted to mend fences with LeBron James. And
yeah, do you guys think that was an olive branch extended? Them having LeBron on Pat McAfee to kind of air out his grievances for some of the, you know, him saying that he doesn't like how the media is treating the NBA and the NBA's players. Do you think that's the, you know, way to kind of smooth things out, to let him give his thoughts on, you know, current things and have some softball questions asked of him and kind of get to, you know, have kind of free reign into, you know, what he got to say and what was asked of him? And also being able to talk on the Stephen A. Smith stuff, since Stephen A. Smith is the, you know, the cream of the cream at ESPN. You know, the First Take is pretty much the show on ESPN right now. So, you know, having your top guy kind of beefing with the face of the league, even though he's 40 years old, he's still the face of the league. Was this their way to kind of, you know, water on the bridge with that and tell them, you know, that ESPN does not agree with the statements of Stephen A. Smith or the comments made by Stephen A. Smith, but we want you to know that, you know, we enjoy what you do, and we're here for you to tell your side of the story and tell whatever you have to say. So I think he's partly right. I think Paul, I believe his name, from the basketball show, check that channel out if you haven't. I think that's kind of where he's going with that, but let's continue on listening.
You know, after what happened with Stephen A. Smith, they wanted to mend fences, and this whole podcast was done in such a way that you can literally see it was done to stroke LeBron's ego, but I'm taking everything that he said apart and let's go. Now, this interview was 1 hour long. I have to say, a lot of great questions, which I was surprised, and I'm happy about that.
If you listen to the interview, did y'all think Pat McAfee asked some good questions? I think he had, you know, he had some good ideas, but he just didn't follow up with them. He was kind of like, you know, he glossed over them, especially the flopping thing. He let LeBron. Well, we'll get into that later. Let's keep
going to dissect this interview bit by bit. So stick around, as you won't want to miss this, because this is going to be good. But first, welcome. My name is Paul, and this is the basketball show where I talk today's NBA, current events, news, players, and more. All completely unbiased. Even though some people disagree, because any opposing opinion to weak people is always hating. Truth is truth, and I try to stand by it. If I say something that's not factual, and you're going back at me in a comment as a LeBron James fan, state some facts
Okay,
that prove I'm wrong.
Let's move up a
Don't
little bit.
Me and Kobe, besides our, the late great Kobe, obviously, me and Kobe never had a real relationship either until we was on the Olympic team. We had a great relationship there. Olympic team 8, Olympic team 12, but it was always competitive between us. We were always like, I was on the East Coast, he was on the West Coast, and it was like, even though we never 9 and didn't beat Orlando, and I think it was 09, didn't beat Orlando and didn't get him an opportunity to play him in the finals, but like, and until I became a Laker and then he retired, that's when our relationship like became really, really good.
So this was a super short answer by LeBron, but I wanted to start off with that. LeBron says they don't really have a relationship and they don't keep in touch. He's saying it's in a good place, but they don't really have a relationship. Now that surprised me because after I saw what the
Now, for context, I did skip a little bit of where LeBron was saying him and Mike don't have much of a relationship. They don't really talk because he's still playing and, Mike's super competitive. So while he's still playing, Mike probably doesn't want to, I guess, have conversations with him. So, yeah, that's the gist of it. Of course, Kobe's no longer with us. Rest in peace. But I guess he and LeBron did start to have a, some type of relationship and interaction once he retired and LeBron came to the Los Angeles Lakers. So that's kind of the context. And now he's speaking on that.
Celebration was of the top 75 NBA. They had a hug, they had an embrace, and all that other stuff. I thought these guys talk at least. I mean, why wouldn't you want to keep in touch with MJ? I don't understand that. LeBron gives himself an excuse as still playing in the NBA, and that's not an excuse. I mean, Kobe kept in constant contact with MJ, and MJ was saying it, was talking about it during his speech, at the Lakers forum after Kobe Bryant, died, rip Kobe. But he was saying that he would constantly call him, he would constantly ask him questions and all that other stuff. He wanted to learn from him. And I don't think LeBron wants any of that smoke from MJ because MJ was just a different animal with a different approach. LeBron is just not that kind of assassin. He's a totally different person. Now, he did mention having a good relationship with Kobe after he retired, but there's nothing preventing you, man, from having contact with someone and a close relationship, especially someone like MJ that can teach you a thing or two.
Well, to be fair, Jordan doesn't seem like the type of guy that has a lot of relationships with guys, probably that are in the current era or even beyond his era. We've heard Scottie Pippen say him and Jordan didn't, go out to dinner and stuff like that. I mean, of course they had a relationship. They were teammates, but they didn't have that, that friend kind of buddy relationship. And even I read an article where Dominique Wilkins said he rarely spoke with Michael Jordan, and, those two had that iconic dunk contest. You would think they were somewhat rivals during their time in the league, those two would have some type of, back and forth, some type of relationship. But, he said he's rarely even talked to Mike. So I can see Mike as that type of guy. I don't think he's an introvert, but I think he's not one of those. He's not a buddy type of guy. So I'm not too surprised that him and LeBron aren't, texting each other every night or, calling each other every other day. He just doesn't come off as that type of guy. Even if LeBron wanted some type of relationship with Mike, I don't think Mike would really, go there. I think because Kobe was such a student of Mike and wanted, to learn from Mike, I think that's how their relationship kind of grew, because he was, wanting to pick Mike's brain and really, further his game, beyond what Mike was doing. And I'm sure Mike, that was flattering to have somebody that really admires you that much that they want to, have a relationship with you and to really, go back and forth with you about the game. But I couldn't see LeBron James and Michael Jordan talking too much basketball. I mean, I'm sure they've had chats. I'm sure they've had conversations, but I just don't think that they're two guys that I would see, really, just in any kind of friendly setting together. But I mean, maybe LeBron's right. Maybe Jordan will want to become buddy once he retires, and tell him that he's not the GOAT. Kind of crush his bubble. But I think there's some truth to what LeBron's saying, but I don't think it's that Mike is just LeBron's still playing and Mike just doesn't want to talk to him or have any kind of conversations with them because of that. I don't think it's that deep. I mean, Mike has his career, he has his achievements, his accolades. I mean, nothing LeBron's doing is going to change anything that he's accomplished. So, I mean, I just don't see that. But we'll let LeBron live with that.
Unless you think yourself that you're above everybody else no matter what. And maybe unless MJ is the one that doesn't want to bother with LeBron.
Yep.
As he tends to praise himself a lot and constantly talk about himself and how great he is and all that other stuff. MJ was never like that. He was more humble in that regard. He would never say he was the GOAT. He always praised stars that came before him. He would never say any stuff like that. Now let's go on to the next one.
Okay, let's talk about you flopping all over the place. Yeah. That's why people get mad.
Yeah, I know.
Now, why do you do that? Patrick Mahomes does the same thing. He's the greatest of all time for us. In a conversation of the greatest of all time, the rules indicate that if you're to hit him, he gets 15.
No doubt.
Is that the same thing for you?
I wish. Because I am like literally over like the last 5-6 years why everybody's been claiming I flop all the time. I'm like in the bottom half of free throw attempts per game.
Hold on, guys. We got Q in here. What's going on?
What up, brother?
What's going on?
Hey, man, another day. My bad. I was on another stream with the format. Bruce and those guys.
Yeah, I saw you.
I'm like, man, what time is it, man?
It's no problem. No, I'm gonna hang out and started, but glad you were able to make it.
Absolutely.
Oh, not much. We just listening to some of these clips and reacting to them. Did Dream of Pro. You might have already seen it, but he was saying how he thinks LeBron was the one that was the advocate for the "We're Done with the '90s" movement.
Oh no, I didn't see that actually, bro. Give me the details on that. What evidence did he present? Because I thought that was really interesting. I just didn't have. I put it in my watch laters, but I never got around to it.
Yeah, basically he took the part where he was talking about Giannis scoring 250 and I guess him saying that they would dominate in the 70s. He said Charles was saying based on that he feels like it was LeBron who kind of orchestrated the "We Done with the '90s" movement, and because it benefits him, and it kind of tears down Jordan's era and when Jordan was there. So yeah, I mean, hold on, I think we lost him. Okay. I think he's back. Okay.
Yeah. So I was trying to go with the simulcast to go. My bad. I didn't think so.
Did it work?
Well, yeah. You said Charles was saying what now? My bad.
Yeah, he was saying that because of him talking about they would dominate in the 70s. He was just saying that he felt like LeBron was the one that kind of orchestrated it, and that because it would benefit him and it tears down Jordan's era and those guys. So he was kind of the mastermind behind it. My thoughts is no, that's crazy. I don't think LeBron has that much time to think of a viral movement to tear down Jordan in the 90s. I just think it was some young guys just trying to go viral, and they did.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I feel like without proof or without something that substantiates any claim, I'm always a person who, even especially having a channel, devoted to opinion and me giving my opinion, I am more interested in, the idea of giving opinions that are founded in fact, of some sort. So if I'm going to give my opinion, I was literally just saying this to my lady. I called her really quick, before coming in. But I was saying to her, the same thing, like just as a kind of a rundown. Like, if a person disagrees with my opinion after I've created an episode and I'm, like just sharing facts and I've created
Yeah.
slides and there it is. And you disagree with me, you're not disagreeing with me, you're disagreeing with the facts. And so I'm not offended.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So typically, even when I'm listening to like Dreamers Pro, I rock with. I've been rocking with Charles for years, man. I really love his content
Same
and
here.
his candor for the most part. So I've appreciated his content, but I am not just Charles specifically, but I am, like keen to listening to what people are sharing in terms of information when they do this, breaking news on this and breaking news. I'm like, what is actually being shared here? Is that
Exactly.
truth? Can I go verify it? Can I go look it up? I'm not just going to hypothetically be like, man, LeBron James is responsible for,
Yeah.
his being inserted into the GOAT conversation and paying all of these people to talk about him on TV. It's like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like without some proof, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna think
It's
he's
just
got
kind
on
of
paper.
hearsay, and that's kind of how I felt. I mean, it makes a good story. I mean, people are going to be
Right.
like, okay, well, that makes sense. But like you said, there's no legs to stand on with that because
Right.
just because LeBron said that doesn't mean he's out there on a burner account, posting up clips of Mike not being able to go left and stuff like that. So
Right.
yeah,
Which is super weird because anybody who's ever watched him play understands that the dude could go right or left, bro. So that's so stupid.
yeah,
That's like,
you
you have
know
a
who they
better
were
argument.
targeting.
I mean, I went left.
Yeah, they were targeting the young generation that never saw one single Michael Jordan game, just highlights and clips. So
Right.
that was easy to clip up stuff and say they couldn't do this or that. I mean, watch the games.
I mean, I can clip you walking from your front door to your car and show people that you can't walk straight. If I
I know
catch you stumbling
exactly.
down the stairs a time or two or slipping before you step on some wet grass, or you know what I mean? Like you'd be like, look at this dude, he can't even walk. You know what I mean? It's like you make up whatever you want.
Yeah, it's funny because I was watching on my way home. I was watching somebody on a Facebook showing, saying, "Oh, Mike missed dunks too," and showing all the clips of him missing dunks or losing the ball. And I'm like, I think pretty much anybody who's ever played basketball in in a specific, just playing basketball, organized basketball has, plenty of clips of them making mistakes. I mean, that's nobody's perfect. Nobody's saying Michael Jordan was perfect. I don't think, but they got to do stuff to kind of, uplift.
I mean, keep conversation going too. You know what I mean? Like I understand that when it's almost like the same argument that I hear people make, which I mentioned this to my lady also as I was talking to her about it, like not being offended by people not liking my or not maybe not agreeing, so to speak, with my takes on this, that, or the other. Like, you know what I mean? Like you got people that are just creating content just to stir up like some animus, you know what I mean? Like amongst people. And I'm like, that's not my interest. I'm not interested in waking up tomorrow and I've got 50,000 subscribers only because I'm, you know what I mean? Like just sharing a take on a person that's just not the energy that I'm literally in every day. I'm not gonna be creating content that's like LeBron James is fucking trash when I know in reality that's not true. It's like the dude is a great basketball player. You know what I mean? Like so I don't have but when I have heat for him and where I have heat for him, I'm gonna present that heat. You know what I mean? And let those moments be those moments. But I'm not just gonna, you know what I mean? Like I get it. The clickbait, you know what I mean? The clout chasing, I get it. It's all the same.
Yeah, I always think that's just weird. Those people that just, and I mean, I'm cool with some people, but that they're not the biggest LeBron fans, and they let that be known on their channels or through however means they want to. But it's just weird to me because there's so much more basketball we could talk about. There's so many other players and things we could talk about than just LeBron James traveling every other game. There's a lot of basketball, and that just kind of simplifies all of it because you're just you're basically falling into his trap, and you're being a follower of LeBron James just like the ones you're you're trying to talk against.
Right.
So it's
right.
weird
Calling them
kind of-
fanboys and fangirls, etc. It's like you have to watch him in order to critique him and to keep having things to
Exactly.
say about him. You know what I mean? So that's why. But that's a really good point though too, because I feel like that's what kind of took me, not even took me out, because I was never in a space as a fan of anybody in any league in my life. Have I ever been a anti this person? I feel like that actually only exists in this present generation of the NBA, which is a whole larger, you know what I mean, subject matter. But that's based on, I think, the heat that LeBron brought to himself by joining the Heat. You know what I mean? Like he went from darling to, you know what I mean, just like the ugly girl at the party, and it's like the
Exactly.
reject all of a sudden. And it's like that just kind of happened. But for me to not necessarily dislike a player, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like as a fan of sports, I've always been objective and able to. I'm from DC, bro. Like, so it goes without saying who my football team is. I don't even have to say it, right?
Oof.
Born and raised in DC, and so in the '90s when the Cowboys were good, bro. I mean, when they were great. I mean, when they had Aikman, you know what I mean? Like Emmett coming out the boot, Moose blocking for him, Jay Novacek as tight end. You know what I mean? Alvin Harper on one side, Michael Irvin on the other side as wide receivers, bro. They were incredible. That's why I can name the play. They were incredible, bro. They were incredible to watch every week. And so for me, I'm a diehard Skins fan, you know what I mean? Like to the death. But I'm like, I'm watching this every week, bro. Like, bro, this is fucking beautiful as a football fan to just tune into and watch. Like, as a football fan, the football fan in me won't let me be a hater. And so that's why I feel like about the basketball fan in me won't allow me to be a hater of LeBron James. You know, like he trash, y'all just over glorifying him, But man, that other night he jacked that game with the Bulls, and I have video evidence and proof of it. So I'm gonna break that down and analyze it and say, bro, look at this. Now the fair, unfair for you know, the argument that somebody could make for me would be like, well, I don't see you doing that for anybody else, which I could be like, you know, you got a point. Let me find some footage to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you're right, but man, LeBron's a very popular player. You know what I mean? Like, he's still for all intents and purposes, brother, the face of the league. You know what I mean? So conversation's a conversation, man. I'm gonna get into
I mean, you doing a video on Al Horford making a mistake. I mean, who's gonna watch that? I mean, that's the sad reality. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but you know, that's the reality of content creation. You want clicks. You know, you do it not just to talk to yourself. You want to speak to the people. So, you know, basically, LeBron James is a hot topic whenever you talk about him. So it's going to sell. So
it's going to generate eyeballs, and it's going to do whatever it's going to do, bro. So I'm never, man, really listening to, you know what I mean, the people in that regard. But at the same time, I understand that we as content creators are looking to do a thing to bring it back to, you know, what got us in the space of conversation to begin with.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Being like the content being shared by Dreamers Pro, and just in this specific instance, it's like, well, what did he say? You know what I mean? Like, what is he surmising here from, and where is he actually getting this information from? Like, oh, it's just a thought. Oh, it's just his opinion. Oh, okay, cool. It's just an opinion shared based on something that he said during Pat McAfee's. Like, so can I go back and listen to that? Did he say anything about, you know what I mean? Like, we hate the 90s. He didn't really say anything that would lead me to believe that he meant, you know what I mean? Or he orchestrated this thing. It's like, no more than what's his name? Nick Wright admitting to orchestrating that article, you know what I mean, about Michael Jordan's DPOY being overblown and like all that stuff. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. That's substantiated, you know what I mean, in terms of who's involved, you know what I mean. But that's it. I couldn't make any content about anything else outside of that. It's like, not a dude said it, so I know that can be validated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
So I'm pro Dreamers Pro. I enjoy his content immensely, but yeah, I cannot get behind him on that.
And get jiggy with that.
Yeah, that's some was a Mr. Fantastic level reach for me, but
Wow.
but I mean, maybe so. And
Yeah.
I was listening to part of the basketball show. I don't know if you've ever watched his content. He was just kind of going through the part of the interview where LeBron said, him and Mike don't have quite
A relationship.
relationship. Yeah, because he's still playing and Mike is the ultimate competitor, whatever. And then of course, him and Kobe, started having a relationship once he retired and LeBron became a Laker, and of course, them getting to know each other through the Olympic teams.
Olympics, yeah.
Yeah, he was just saying that him and Mike, because LeBron's not the assassin that Mike is probably why they don't have the relationship, is what I kind of picked up from that. And what I was saying, because I think I was saying it when you popped in, but Mike doesn't seem like the guy that's going to have relationships with just anybody. He doesn't seem like the buddy type of individual. And I was talking about how Dominique Wilkins even said he's had maybe one or two conversations with Michael Jordan his whole career.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a guy that grew up. I mean, that came in and they were rivals, and they were, they sat beside each other on the dunk contest. So you would think that they would have more interaction, but no. And even Scotty said him and Mike didn't go out to eat and do things like that. Of course, they had a relationship.
They weren't friends. He said that because people define friendship differently. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I don't think it's because Mike and them don't have a relationship because LeBron's still playing and he's petty like that. I just think he doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he really wants a relationship with LeBron in that type of way. I mean, maybe at some point they can, but I think him and Kobe had that kind of relationship because they were Kobe wanted to pick his brain. Kobe wanted to learn from him.
Right.
That's kind of,
I think if there was anything to that point, I think that if there's anything that could be pinpointed as like the reason that he and Kobe had a relationship, is all you have to do is you have to look no farther than just go back to the story of how they even connected. You know what I mean? Like Kobe asked for his phone number when he saw him out, and asked if it would be okay if he called him, or like reached out to him to ask him for tips, etc. So that was a whole different dynamic. That was established in like humility. And I'm not to say that LeBron's not humble enough to come to Mike and be like, "Hey, bro, can we kick it?" But maybe he never approached it that way. I have no idea. I have no way to substantiate whether or not that same approach had been attempted by LeBron. You know what I mean? In saying that, but I'm just going back to the story based on what I know from Kobe, and as was told by him. You know what I mean? Or told by Jordan at his memorial service, even. You know what I mean? Like when he started getting text messages at all hours of the morning and night, Kobe's asking about like, how did you do this? So my body weight should be shifted, like the balls of my foot or the arch, you know what I mean? How should my foot be arched? He's asking them just specific detailed questions that I feel like, to your point, indicated to Mike, man, that this dude's a maniac about the process. Like, I'm a maniac about the process. And so they could relate, you know what I mean, on that level. And that's what gave them that brother, you know what I mean, like connection, you know what I mean, like big brother, little brother connection. And so aside from that, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, again, I don't know what to take from that. So I wouldn't necessarily be making up LeBron James and Mike are not cool because, you know what I mean? Mike just don't rock with LeBron like that. And I was like, how do you know? You know what I mean? Or is it because he's still playing? You know what I mean? Mike's an uber competitive, because that's how LeBron made it sound like. Jordan's just like so ultra competitive and because I'm still playing and I'm wearing his number, it's just like, that's a really interesting take. Like, I'm not here to tell you that it's true or it's not true, but Kobe was still playing when they were kicking it, and so that reason, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Not to say that maybe LeBron based his comments in that interview on some interactions that he and Mike have had, or conversations that they've had. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying. So you're playing, and so you're saying that that's the reason that he doesn't want to kick it with you. But when Kobe was playing, they kicked it. You know what I mean? Like, they shared it. So I'm just like, that don't add up. You know what I mean? So that's all I was saying about that.
I mean, I completely agree. I mean, it just doesn't sound right. Like, he's, Mike's 60 years old. He's a billionaire. Why is he worried about another player, that he can't play against. I mean, it's not like he can get on the court and prove anything anymore. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't think he's that petty. I mean, he's petty now. Him and Charles Barkley kind of falling out was petty on his accord, but I just don't think if they don't have an established relationship already, I don't think he's just like I don't want to have a relationship with LeBron because he's still playing. He's my equal. It's not like me and Kobe where it was big brother, little brother. He's trying to stare me eye to eye. I don't think he's
right.
But I don't know.
I would just say a little pushback on the Jordan Barkley, subject, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just a slight pushback on that, if I might.
Okay.
The only thing that I would say with that is they were actual, you have an actual friendship there, with a dude that you are considering your friend, your brother, what have you. And so for Chuck on TV, national TV, to be like he's a horrible executive, etc., that's like kind of personal there, bro. Even though I'm talking about you not doing a good job, but there's a difference between me saying, hey, you haven't been the most effective GM, CW, you know what I mean? Like you haven't been the most effective content creator. You step your game up. You know what I mean? That's not a public TV. That's like now I'm dragging you on my channel, being like, yeah, y'all know CW, man, what I've been doing. Yeah, man, I had to, man, you know what I mean? Man, he got to step his game up, bro. Like, yeah, ain't even, I don't know what do you think you doing over there. It's like, bro, damn, you could have called me. You could have hit me and we could have talked. You know what I mean? Like that. So it goes, you go a little step farther beyond like critiquing my ability, you know what I mean, to just like calling me horrible at a thing. That's like, damn, bro, are we cool? You know what I mean? Like, damn, do we know each other? Like you can say I'm not doing a very good job at a thing, but you ain't got to take it to I'm the worst GM in the history. It's like, whoa.
I completely agree on that because you don't want to be blindsided and hear that on television instead of him texting like, well, what you doing over there in Washington? Maybe you could do this. Maybe you need to study this person or something like that. He could kind of soften the blow by kind of having some type of conversation before just going scorched earth on television. And I get that. Mike probably, as he loves to say, he took that personal. And you see what happens when he takes things personally. And of course, he couldn't go. He couldn't go on the court and just destroy Chuck anymore. He had to. He just said, we not friends no more. We got.
Right. I just feel like that went a little too far. But that's just my personal opinion on it. You know what I mean? Like again, I'm not Mike said. I don't know what else led to their fallout. If it was something deeper than that, or if there was some conversations that were had, or if the conversation, or there even was a conversation after that, if that was. Kind of went to a level that got to the point where they were just like, man, all right, we can't rock together anymore. I have no idea specific detail, but I'm aware that it was obviously based on that and around that commentary about the job that Jordan was doing as a owner or what have you in Charlotte. You know what I mean? So man, it's just not. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I
mean? Hopefully, you would hope that they could mend those fences and just. Those guys are too old to be beefing. So, I mean, hopefully that'll fix that at some point. So I'm gonna get back into this. And I'm gonna start the clip. If there's something that you want to speak on as it's going, just let me know and I'll pause it and you can make any comments you want, because I might do the same thing. So I think this was when he was talking about the flopping.
Oh, they won't give you the whistle.
You don't get the whistle.
No. The superstar treatment?
You know the funny thing is, I have a lot of teammates that be like, they come to the Lakers and they be like, man, when I used to play against you, I used to think you got every goddamn call and I hated it. And now that I'm your teammate, it's like, oh my goodness, you don't get any calls. I'm like, hey, don't worry about it. Just keep playing.
No. So here we have LeBron straight up lying to viewers. He straight up lied.
I like this guy, so I thought that's who you were asking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like his content. I've been watching him I've been following him for probably about a year or so too, but or maybe a little longer. But to that comment, so it's not. I can't even really explain it, bro. But LeBron reminds me so much of folks that I grew up with or around. You know what I mean? Just in even how he talks and retells stories and shit. That just makes it seem like he's just the exaggeration of a thing. And, you know what I mean? Makes it it's just like, bro, I don't even want to be around you, bro, because you just exaggerate so much and you're always trying to make. It's like plenty of people who are playing with you say this, bro.
It's
One
like your
person
high
said,
school buddies. Yeah. High school
yeah, like
buddies. Yeah.
people come in all the time. Now they become teammates with me. Like a whole bunch of my teammates will say it once they start playing. We're like, nobody said. One person said that.
Exactly.
You're making it seem like no, every time a person teams up with you, they come to the startling realization once being on the team with you that you don't get calls. No player gets all the calls.
Exactly.
I hate the idea, bro, of superstar calls. It drives me crazy. So I am glad when the ref doesn't blow the bullshit whistle. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, because it's important to just let athletes play the game. Stop with all this. You know what I mean? Whistle blowing for every single small thing. Like, yeah, it's a contact sport. I ain't take your arm off with, you know what I mean? I swiped down and took your whole arm off. That's different than I tapped you on the hand, or you know what I mean? Like there was some slight we're bumping trying to find, but it's like, come on, bro. Like what's going on here? So half the times are us blowing whistles when there is no contact. So imagine now you're crying about like he's doing, not crying, but you're emphasizing this idea that you somehow don't get the whistle when the whistle is blown so often for LeBron and throughout the league. So not even just about LeBron specifically, but it's blown throughout the league at an incorrect time. And this is why they incorporated this challenge rule. So now the coaches are be able to look at the jumbotron to have the coaches behind the bench with the iPad. Like, nah, that wasn't a foul. Challenge that. You know what I mean? So
now we don't have to see James Harden at the free throw line every 2 seconds and
88 times a game. Right? It's so crazy, bro. Yeah. So it's that just. But he was speaking to the lie. I wanted to point out that embellishment through storytelling and just personality to me. I feel like when I see LeBron and I hear LeBron speak, I just hear that little part in his character that you know what I mean? Bro, it's just I can't explain it. It's just in there. You know what I mean? Like it's like that right there. You know what I mean? People are like, what do you do? It's like that right there. This even how he's saying it, it just seems like we used to call it welling back in DC. You know what I mean? If you were just lying and exaggerating, people like, man, he welling. Like you welling, bro. And so that's what LeBron, he does it so often. It just comes across as disingenuous, bro. And I'm just like, you ain't the kind of person I would even want to be around. It just doesn't even seem like the kind of dude that I would hang out with. You know what I mean? Like after you start doing that, it's like good on Slim. Like, you know what I mean? Like
you just don't want to hear their stories no more because you know they're going to make it. You want to embellish it, as you were saying. It's going to be something that you know didn't happen, but they're going to make it sound like,
what's worse, CW?
Yeah.
You know what's worse? What's worse is like, hey, yo, CW, you know I was there, right? You know I was there. You know I was there. I was there.
Yeah, he did that. He did that for some. He was like, I had this song or something. Remember, he did that for some.
The song on his playlist, the Migos song. Yeah. And everybody was like, back when I was in Miami, and everybody was like, "Who's the Migos?" And it was like, the Migos wasn't even out back then.
Exactly. You talking about you heard something, man? You
had a playlist. You was playing it out loud. Like that's weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the problem with embellishing about things. Like you just can't say, "Oh man, I've been rocking with them since they first came out." You got to go the extra mile to be like, yeah, it was on this playlist during this time period. All that's like, come on, bro. Like you just say you've been rocking with them since they first came out. That's enough. That's good enough to be like, damn, you really been rocking with them. I'm talking about like rocking with them since this song, since that song, since you know what I mean. Like that's enough. You ain't gotta just do the most around it. You know what I mean?
You don't have to be that. Anyway, I know them since before they had a record deal. I've known them all their lives. We know how LeBron is.
Unfortunately, but yeah, go ahead back to the clip. I just wanted to point out that one little part of it because I was just like, that just gets under my skin. Even when I was listening to the interview, I was just like, ugh. I just made my skin crawl a little bit.
Kind of feel when he's like you said, when he's embellishing stuff, you can kind of hear it. Like it's in his voice. Right, it's in his cadence in his voice.
Right. Now we know LeBron flops on a regular. We have hundreds of videos of it. It's not even a question. He also says that he's in the bottom half of the NBA in free throw attempts, which proves he does not flop and does not get a lot of calls and stuff like that, which is a blatant lie. I mean, LeBron knows his stats better than anyone. It's one of the most important things to him. He has all of his stats in his pinky. He knows his points. He knows his assists. He knows everything. Yet he wouldn't know his free throw attempts and what position he's at in the overall ranking in the NBA players, how many he attempts and all that stuff. He said he's in the bottom half of free throw attempts in the NBA. Well, he's 27th overall.
Wow.
Out of around 500 players. What a load of crap.
There you go. There you go.
Next.
So yes, guys.
We got the energy coming pretty in a second, but yeah. Anything further on him actually being the 27th? So I guess there's 35 players in the NBA, so he's in the bottom half at 27. But
yeah, because there's only 31 players in the league. You know what I mean? It's 31 flavors, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, bro. That's it. And you don't even have to. I didn't even have to hear that to hear where he ranks on the list to understand that this dude gets the whistle. You know what I mean? So again, man, just that embellishment or that, you know what I mean, like saying is him saying that rather is really weird. You know what I mean? So for me, as a basketball player, I was never the kind of player that's like, man, the refs always blow the whistle for everybody else and they don't blow the whistle for me. Like if I deserve a whistle, I'm gonna get a whistle. There's a ref miss some calls here and there, man. That is what it is. Like obviously we knew that if we are too confrontational with the refs, that was going to lead to a tech. So there was a certain level of respect that we had for the refs. You know what I mean? We understood after, going about playing the game, that, man, certain refs, we was just seemed like, oh, man, we got this dude today. And so, you know what I mean? We would adjust kind of how he plays. Like, man, this dude got a quick whistle. He's, you know what I mean? Or he'd be looking for that weird shit. So we just adjusted as time went on. But again, to say what he said about being in the bottom half and then to have it validated, like, yo, this dude's sitting at 27 right now. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, damn, that's crazy. And so to say, I feel like as an athlete or at my status and my stature as LeBron James, I should get more calls is a whole different thing than to say to imply that, man, like my teammate, they be saying it all the time, like, man, you don't get no calls. I used to think you got all the calls, but I wasn't a Laker. Now I'm a Laker, and I'm like, man, you don't get no calls. Like you're getting the same amount of calls, bro.
Exactly.
You're getting the same calls that you were getting then. You're getting them now.
No
so you're not getting less whistles because this new teammate came along supposedly and told you this bullshit. It's like, come on, bro. Like, what are we saying here? What are we saying? So it's just like, it's those kinds of things shared in that interview. It's just that entire exchange for me. You know what I mean? I listened to it. I'm biased, and I think I told you this a couple days ago that I didn't really have any strong takeaways. There was nothing about that interview to me that I felt like I needed to do content on, so to speak. I was just like, well, these are all the things that I already know about LeBron that we've already said. You know what I mean? Like I didn't learn anything new that was just like breaking news for me. You know what I mean? But I have, much like you tapped into these shows, listen to other people's take on it and be like, that's kind of interesting. You know what I mean? Like, I can see where you're coming from with that. But yeah, just like I said, just for him to say it, bro, is really strange when in reality you still get the whistle, bro.
Yeah,
more than 20. It's only 26 people ahead of you. You know, what I mean?
He's like, we can't fact check. I mean, it's in the palm of our hands. We can fact check this. So why would you even try to throw that in there like that? And I enjoyed Pat McAfee, but this is one of those where I feel like he could have given a little pushback and say, well, what about this? We saw you do this. We saw you fall. This guy was like half your size and, you were falling on the ground, flipping over because he ran into you. I just felt like he should have, instead of just being like, oh, okay, whatever you said, that's what the truth is. I just felt like there should have been a little bit more pushback, especially for something like that when everybody knows. And I was shocked he even asked that. But I just felt like he could have pushed it a little more. But,
I think I had a bit of a different, I think I listened from a different vantage point, perhaps, because I thought a couple times in that interview when he was asked about the flopping specifically, when Pat brought it back up, I thought he was being actually a bit sarcastic. You know what I mean? Like when he was just like, yeah, you're out there flopping all around it. Like I thought he was being, I felt like he was being sarcastic personally. Like, yeah, bro, like tighten up. You know what I mean? Without being journalistic about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
he's now got to probe a little to like, come on, LeBron, keep it clean about this, or you know what I mean? What do you mean when? So he's not that kind of person. Pat's got a very fun-loving show. It's no different than
Yeah.
Club Shay Shay. Shannon's sitting down interviewing people. You know what I mean? So you would expect. I
Yeah.
understood this same kind of conversation was had around the Cat Williams ring. Well, why don't you push back? Why don't you ask about this? Why don't you dig a little deeper on that? It's like, well, yeah, I can understand that from a Club Shay Shay perspective, whereas
Yeah.
LeBron sitting in there, you might want to dig a little deeper. But man, LeBron ends up on Club Shay Shay. The same exact thing would happen. You know what I mean?
Oh, we already
You've
know that.
invited him here to have a very fun, like, oh my God, I get an interview with LeBron. It's not a Barbara Walters kind of a thing where it's like you almost need somebody who really is impartial. You know what I mean? Like who I can celebrate your career, LeBron. I can appreciate all the things you say, but bro, I'm not letting you get away with no bullshit in here. You know what I mean? Like you just can't be saying anything, bro. Like, come on,
I
bro.
don't
Like
think
I'm that kind of person that will push back. But there are not many of those people in the mainstream media who are just gonna keep it clean, you know what I mean, that way without being all like, oh my God, I got LeBron in the studio. And that's how I felt McAfee was. It was like, oh my God, like LeBron is here. Like
And that brings up a question because I talked about this
Yeah.
before you got on. Do you think this was ESPN's way of kind of throwing out an olive branch to LeBron in the midst of all this Stephen A. Smith beef? If they, kind of line this up for him to be able to discuss his thoughts or to get his side of the story on to kind of, just kind of, mend fences and kind of really, because it seems just out of the blue. Like I don't think they advertised it at all. So that's why I feel like maybe it was them kind of trying to say, hey, ESPN still loves you, LeBron.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess anything's possible, right? But yeah, I don't really. If it was a more pointed conversation about that, you know what I mean, then I would probably say, yeah, they gave LeBron the platform to like kind of air his grievances about it. And you know what I mean? Like if it was really like, yo, so tell me about the Stephen A. Smith thing, and then again, it was more pointed to say, well, let's go back to to the time where you guys were cool. And so when did it take place where you guys just weren't cool? You know what I mean? If it was more pointed in that direction to be like, what has he said that's bothered you? Then that would have been like, okay, ESPN set this up to make sure that he could clear the air. You know what I mean? But it was brought up obviously because it's a hot topic. So I just felt like Pat brought it up just to bring it up. So I feel like even LeBron James being there, I feel like that may have been, and there's no proof to substantiate this. I'm just saying, Stephen A. Smith has a #1 show, not just on ESPN. He's got the #1 morning show on network television. And he has had the #1 show on network television for almost 10 years. Stephen A. continues to brag about, or however long it's been. You know what I mean? So to that end, I feel like maybe LeBron James went on McAfee on purpose as opposed to going on any other shows on ESPN to be like, oh, I'll show you what I'm gonna do. I'll go on McAfee's show and I'll address you and I was going on McAfee's show to just do an interview period and watch how the ratings kill your show's ratings. You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't think of that.
That's a thing. Yeah, I feel like that's a thing that may be real. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I didn't think about
ESPN
that.
giving him, ESPN saying, hey, here's your space to come on in and just do the McAfee show. I don't think ESPN was behind it. I think that it was more LeBron being like, well, here's a perfect opportunity. It would be a perfect opportunity for me to sock it to him by going on the McAfee show while I'm going to be in Indiana for this game anyway. You know what I mean? Like, why not?
Makes sense as well. So,
Yeah. But again, not substantiated by any facts or any whatever. I'm just saying, if I had to look at it and based on how the interview went, if it was more direct, you know what I mean? Expose. LeBron tells all about the Stephen A. drama and how this history of him. You know what I mean? Like it was Kurt. What's Malika's dude's name? McMenamin, Dave McMenamin, or one of those people. You know what I mean? Where there was in those kinds of sit down face to face interviews that ESPN has done, then that would make sense. You know what I mean? But I don't think they would have used McAfee, and they didn't have to based on what I heard that it was like a ESPN olive branch. I don't think so.
Okay, I mean that makes sense as well. So I kind of felt that was my kind of take was that ESPN was like let's We're not going to put him on First Take. We're going to put him here on Pat McAfee and, let him air out some stuff. But I could see it either way. But like you said, they would probably be a little more structured if they were going with that route.
Right.
So before we get into the next one, I'm sure you know who this guy is, Sports and Fitness Rant. So the energy's going to rise a little bit. He has his take. Not exactly the biggest LeBron fan.
Right.
He's a friend of the channel. We always support Robin. Great guy. But he's very opinionated. He's got he sticks by him. So let's listen to what he had to say about some of this interview.
Like I said, I wanted to talk about some of the comments that LeBron James made in this Pat McAfee show. I'm telling you now, this interview is going viral for all the wrong reasons, man. Right? The comments about Giannis and the 250 points in the NBA game in the 70s and just some of the weird stuff that he was saying, man. Like I said, it just doesn't make any sense. He was talking about the Stephen A. Smith saga, and he didn't say anything good about that. Like I said, I'm not going to even talk about what he was saying with that stuff, but once again, he was saying nonsense. I got to protect my household. And really, the same household that you fake vandalized? I'm confused here. The same household that you promote through social media. That household you have to protect. Dude, you make no sense, man. You're a cornball. I got to protect my household. You should be protecting your household by carrying yourself with more class and honor and integrity. You're not protecting your household by having your wife come on stage and going to go. No one should even know who your wife is. We should know these things, but of course we do, right? We didn't know any of the players' wives back in the 80s and 90s. You didn't know these women. You didn't hear from these women. It wasn't important to hear from them. But LeBron James have his wife say something like that, man. But he's got to protect his household. But I want to focus mostly on the comments that he made about the relationship that he does or doesn't have with Michael Jordan and the relationship that he had with Kobe Bryant, man. Because once again, LeBron James contradicts himself. And he tries to talk about himself as if he's on the level of a Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant in the way that he's talking, as far as being a competitor. Right? LeBron James sitting there talking about Michael Jordan. Oh, I wear number 23 because of Mike. MJ is, he's the craziest competitor, man. He's so he knows all of this stuff about Michael Jordan, right? You grew up watching Michael Jordan like a lot of us did. Michael Jordan's a crazy, hellified competitor to the degree that we've never seen. There is no competitor in all of sports like Michael Jordan, guys. That's part of his gift and the curse of Michael Jordan. That was part of his curse, right? The competitive side of him, made him the way he was. But also he got the results he was looking for. But we know that was part of the price that Michael Jordan paid. His demeanor, his fiery competitiveness, sometimes rubbed people the wrong way. Sometimes it made him look like a quote-unquote bad guy. But like we said, he earned it, and he went out through the grind and earned it the right way, Michael Jordan. Didn't cheat the game, didn't cheat himself, didn't cheat his teammates, and never did anything that he wasn't doing himself, right? I told you guys, LeBron James is a lead, he's the kind of guy, like I told you, where it's, do as I say, not as I do. That's how he leads. That's his leadership style. Hey, you guys got to do your job. Hey, we just got to do our jobs. But you're not doing your job. This is LeBron James. These are the things that we hear from LeBron James, man, over the years. Right? Passive-aggressive nature of LeBron James, do as I say, not as I do. Where Michael Jordan was do as I do. I'm going to lead the way. You guys must follow me. But I'm not going to do anything and make you guys do something. I'm not going to tell you guys to play defense. I'm not going to say you guys got to practice hard. I'm not going to say you guys got to show up on time. I'm going to do those things, and I'm going to make sure that you guys do it, because if I'm doing it, damn it, you're going to do it. That's leadership right there, guys. Right? So, once again, LeBron James knows about Michael Jordan as a competitor. He's talking about.
So we're going to stop him there. Agree or disagree? That's what he said,
Yeah, I agree that Jordan was a lead by example, like kind of a person. And that was the quintessential leader, in the game. As far as everybody was concerned, during the time that he played. I don't think that he was off base, like with his tape, there.
Yeah, I do. Everyone has their own leadership style, and I'm not going to say LeBron's not a good leader. He just doesn't do it the same way Jordan does, and there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever his style is, obviously works. He's won championships,
right?
So it's not like he's just a bum, but I do agree with his assessment. Mike was not a do as I say guy. He was going to go out there and play hard. And he's going to ask you to come with him. He said, we got to go on this journey together, and we're going to play hard. We're going to do these things, and we're going to win these championships. And if you're not going to come with me, then, there's no place for you on this court with me. And that's part of the admiration for Jordan, was because he was that type of, he gave them tough love. He wasn't coddling them and hugging them and kissing on them. I remember that story with Luke Longley where he, gave him props for, what he did that first half of the first quarter. Then he kept those stats the rest of the game. He was like, I'm never going to give you, any kind of admiration again, because, obviously it went to your head and you didn't, it didn't push you where he needed to go. So, yeah, so I agree with sports and fitness on this situation. He's got a little bit more, but he's anti LeBron. So let's go yeah, I just gotta call it what it is. That's my boy.
Yeah, so I would say something to like that first point, you know what I mean, of as you mentioned, the over exaggeration, or the exaggeration rather, of the Giannis will score 250 points in the 70s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's like, I understand that was just kind of candor. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't to be taken like utterly serious. I didn't take him utterly serious on that to be like, oh my God, LeBron James is, you know what I mean? Like being ridiculous here. It's like, I get it. You know what I mean? Like I know what he meant. You know what I mean? Like I understand what he meant. He wasn't saying a literal 250 points. I just think that for what it's worth, if there was anything for me to have as a talking point from that interview, it definitely would have been how much of a contradiction it was for him to go on this tangent about allowing the errors to be in the errors and having respect for the errors and having so much respect that we respect that error for being in that error, only to turn around and then make such a disrespectful comment about how Giannis would dominate that era. I was just like, bro, that's contradictory. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't understand that, that's one thing, but it's just like, did you just hear what you said? You know what I mean? Like, so a lot of times when I'm listening to people, man, or I'm, you know what I mean? That's why I don't like arguing with people. So to speak, I would rather just have a conversation, man. You know what I mean? So I'm talking to people or what have you, and I'm just like, bro, all right, I'll listen to you. You know what I mean? We can have it out about this thing or that thing or like whatever it is. But I just want you to understand that, like, I'm listening to what you're saying. And so I just wonder if you're listening to what you're saying, because as I listen to what you're saying, you know what I mean? It's this whole thing about like, oh, you got to listen because you're going to listen and not just listen to respond. It's like, no, I'm actually listening. But what I hear you saying is this, you know what I mean? Like, so can you hear yourself? Because I hear you saying some weird shit right now. And I'm just like, I don't know how you could be cool with that, because it goes against what you're trying to tell me that you're saying, but you're actually saying two things that don't make sense. You know what I mean? You're on opposing sides of the argument that you're trying to make right now. You're actually the exact example of what you're saying. You know what I mean? And so that to me just was so. But again, the only reason I didn't make content about it is because I'm like, this just is who the dude is. He's like a walking contradiction as far as I'm concerned. And so, I would make 1 million videos per week if I just go back and even dissect all the interviews from LeBron James, and like some of the things that he says were just like, it doesn't make sense. For instance, back during the summer when he sat down with McMenamin and he was saying about, Bronny don't give a shit. His literal words. Bronny don't give a shit. What people don't realize is that Bronny doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? So Bronny like comes to the gym, he works his ass off, and then he goes home and he plays his video games. He doesn't hear any of this shit. And then literally a couple of days later, Bronny's in his opening, press conference and he's mentioning this amplified amount of pressure that's being put on him, and how people will have things to say about him in the media, like he doesn't deserve this opportunity, etc. So it's like, wait a minute. Now, either Bronny doesn't give a shit or he gives, because it sounds like you're saying Bronny doesn't give a shit, but Bronny sounds like he gives a shit.
Speaking for Bronny,
right. And it's so again, I could go back and point out all these things in commentary, but it's like, come on, bro. Like, I don't have time to
Yeah.
keep bringing up this dude and like the silly things that he says. Half the time, I'm over the, you know what I mean, like that kind of stuff with LeBron, bro. I get
Yeah. I
it. It is what
mean,
it is. The
if
dude's
we don't
ridiculous.
move,
You know what I mean? A
yeah,
lot
if
of
we
what he
don't move
says.
on from that, then we're going to be talking about LeBron every day, and
Right, right.
I mean that's
So
what
you
he
have to.
wants.
It's almost like you have to pick. You have to pick your battles, choose
Yeah,
your battles. You know what I mean? Like, or the things that you start even work. It's just like, calm. So he's exhausting. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, brother, you
yeah.
are
I mean, he
exhausting.
is. I mean, he's talking about the media, and then he wants that. He
All
wants
right,
the media to talk about him. I mean, that's what he
all right,
wants. I mean, this is
all right.
it's just
And
weird.
so,
Yeah.
no, I was going to say to that point right there because that's a great point. I was literally on the other broadcast. I
Hmm.
asked a question. I said, here you have this guy, obviously because it's topic of discussion and the Stephen A. beef and et cetera, right? That led to the LeBronversation. I'm
Hmm.
like, here you have him upset with Stephen A., who talks about him, who's paid to talk about him,
Yeah.
who's an actual documented journalist, credentialed journalist, is, for all intents and purposes, I'm certain. If Stephen A. wanted to take a bag right now, writing columns again, he could for
Hmm.
everybody, anybody. There's nobody who would turn
Hmm.
him down with his cachet, as one of his favorite words that he likes to use. You
Yeah.
have Stephen A. Smith, who just signed a mega $1 million deal, multi-million-dollar deal
Hmm.
to continue to be the face of ESPN as a sports pundit. He's paid to talk about athletes, sports, etc., and get on TV and be a kid. That's just what he's paid to do. So he's not allowed to talk about you. Neither is Brian Windhorst, who's written books about you,
Crazy.
who maybe embellishes a little his relationship with yours connection to you to make it seem like you guys
Hmm.
are a lot more chummy than, I don't know, maybe, who knows. But he says nothing but glowing,
Yeah.
amazing things about you. He's always defending what you will possibly be thinking. Well, maybe LeBron's thinking that he's always coming to the defense of LeBron. And so then LeBron takes the liberty to drag him in this interview
Hmm.
and
For no
call him a
reason.
weirdo,
Yeah.
fucking weird. And so I'm like, well, Stephen A. can't talk about you. People who like you can't talk about you.
Yeah.
Can talk about him. Who's allowed to talk
Yeah.
about the
He
guy?
can talk about him. He can definitely talk
It's a
about him.
really
Yeah.
interesting thing. And
Yeah.
if we are then to acknowledge, because Bruce on the chat, the other Bruce who's a part of the debate, he was saying, well, everybody can talk about him except Stephen A. Smith, it appears. And I'm like,
Mm.
isn't that a really interesting amount of control to give up to an athlete to say,
Hmm.
we'll let you choose who's suitable to talk about you. You just let us know who can. And whomever you don't like talking about you, we guess you'll approach them in public. You'll clap back at them, you know what I mean, when you, et cetera.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because to my knowledge, the only two people in media that he's clapped back at are Doug Gottlieb and Stephen A. Smith.
Hmm. I mean, Skip Bayless has had a lot to say about him, but he's never crossed that bridge, it seems. But
I haven't heard him say anything about what has he said about Skip.
haven't heard him say anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I haven't heard him say
Yeah.
anything. What is he
Yeah.
saying about Skip and talking
I
shit
mean,
about him
Skip.
for ages, bro?
Yeah, Skip has some venom for him, but I guess Skip doesn't get the same amount of attention that a Stephen A. Who, you can say what you want. Now he's kind of gone left, but for the most part, he's been, he's spoken LeBron's praises a lot of times, and I mean, now all of a sudden he's the enemy. But
Yeah, that Windhorse thing was crazy, bro. That threw me
yeah, I
for a
mean,
loop. But go ahead, bro. Get back into
he
your.
caught a, no, I'm saying he caught a stray for no reason. I mean,
And
Windhorse,
LeBron brought him up. Nobody
yeah,
said
that's what
anything
I'm
about
saying.
him. LeBron brought him up. LeBron
That's what I'm
just
saying.
took an opportunity to just bring the dude up and just drag him. I was like, damn, what did he do to you?
Yeah, I was
That
like,
dude
what?
wasn't even being talked about, bro. You just
I had to
volunteered
rewind
his
it.
name to
Yeah.
dump on him. I was like, that was
Yeah, I had to
odd.
rewind that to see if something was said about him and how he just all of a sudden came into the information into the conversation
Conversation, bro.
and
He
was
introduced him.
called
So
weird.
he went out of his way to introduce him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, a premise that somebody gave was like, could it be perhaps? Because I'm not sure, but I'm pretty certain I would probably, if there was somewhere where I could look it up, I would look it up, and I would probably place a bet on FanDuel that Windhorse. is represented by clutch. You know what I mean? Like I'd be willing to
I thought it was known.
place a wager on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I heard somebody offer as a premise, like perhaps that was like smoke and mirrors for LeBron James to be like, well, I don't like this Browns weirdo, you know what I mean? Windhorse dude acting like we know each other, so that people can not be so thrown off by all the glazing that Windhorse does for him in the media, to be like, oh well, man, this LeBron, they don't even really rock with the dude that way. But my pushback for that was, well, I think that will do more to hurt Windhorse's credibility now.
Exactly.
Because if you're still going to show up to keep defending this dude, even though we know this dude thinks you're a fucking weirdo, it's going to make you look weird. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
weirder,
yeah. So if you're not trying to create an enemy by calling this dude out of nowhere, then I don't understand what that was about. You know what I mean? Like that was really strange, bro. That struck me as really odd when it happened.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you couldn't say Nick Wright because he's on ESPN, but you know, I don't know where that came from. That just kind of felt, I'm not gonna say it felt forced, but it just felt out of nowhere. Like Windhorse is just a weirdo, you know.
All right.
I don't know.
He's like, why?
Yeah, I mean, what did Windhorse do?
What did he do? That was so weird. Yeah. So that, from a journalistic standpoint, once again, that's where the journalist interviewing him would have offered a space for pushback to be like, why? You know what I mean? Like what are we saying here? Gloss right on over it, bro. Yeah, gloss right over it.
So with that said, we're gonna hear from another friend of the channel, Sports T. She's another one that's not the biggest LeBron fan. So she had a lot to say. I think she went through the whole interview a couple of nights ago. So I pulled this clip and I tried to theme them together. So I did a very poor job of that because I was trying to put like the stuff about him and Jordan and the Giannis stuff together, but it just didn't work out the way I wanted to. But here is Sports T.
Literally the ones that like really commit to their craft and literally commit to the sport in general. Being able to pour yourself into it is what you're going to get out of it too. So I figured, shit, when I knew I had a gift at like 13, 14, that I was out there on the court and I was running past guys and jumping higher and, you know, making passes and doing things that the other 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds wasn't doing. I was like, oh shit,
this could be it.
This could be it. This could be it. And like, I'm living in, you know, Section 8 housing. It's me and my mom, you know, we trying to figure it out. And I'm like, oh shit, if I commit to this, I can figure it out. I can figure it out for not only myself, but for my mom, get out of the, you know, out of the, you know, the inner city and make something out of it.
Before Luka came, he believed he had a really good chance of winning, making a run. I felt and found that to be complete bullshit, guys. LeBron James thought the same thing he thought for the past few years, which is that he would continue to coast and pad his stats. Within the first few minutes, he's already lying. There's no way, and there's no way that, you know, if LeBron really loved the sport, that he would be doing the things that he's doing. There's no way if he loved the sport, he would do this interview. I don't think he loves it. I don't think that it's genuine at all. Not at all.
I'm gonna stop it right there. I don't think that's fair. That's not a fair assessment.
Yeah.
I don't think you can't say what a person loves, or people love in different ways. So you can't tell a person how to love something, and if they love it, they have to follow these specific rules.
Right.
So yeah, I don't agree with her on that.
There's no way LeBron James loves this sport.
No, just go ahead. I was gonna say, I agree with you. Yeah.
And he's disrespecting the game by not playing defense. Later on, he even says, why am I even at a preseason game?
Yeah.
What happened to loving the sport so much? Which one is it? He doesn't play in the All-Star game. He needs to take off 2 weeks every other month to head to the Lebalco lab. Doesn't look like he's loving the game to me. Looks like he's, I don't know, milking the game, squeezing the game, scamming the game, and even worse, ruining the game. For a moment, and I just want you guys to see something for a moment. I think I have it. It's a graphic. You know what? Actually, I don't have it. But LeBron James is a -70, and his son, Bronny James, is a -58. That's what I call milking the game. He's scamming all of us, guys. Complete scam. The James family, this phony historical father-son duo, they're the ones holding back the Lakers. -70, -58. They're minus like what, 130 combined? Once they're both gone, the Lakers and the franchise, they'll be doing much better. Pack them both up. Anyway, this is not about father-son duo. More on this interview. Okay? LeBron James is a complete narcissist, guys. I'm going to play for you the next bit of sound that I have, and then we're going to react.
I knew that the statistics for an inner city black kid to be able to be in a position that I was in, especially for my hometown, it never ever happens.
Never.
It never
works out either.
It never happens, and if it does happen, it never works out. You know, and you know, it was a. I mean, I don't want to throw him under the bus, but the only inspiration like we had was like Jerome Lane, the guy who like dunked and shattered the backboard that played for Pittsburgh. He was from Akron, Ohio. Like we saw that and we was like, oh shit, that's inspiration. And then I went through high school, and all my boys know this too. Like I went through high school and we was playing against the inner city kids because we went to an all Catholic high school. Lane was like hating on us. I was like, oh, this like he's back in Akron hating on us, like going against us. And I'm like, oh shit, you was like our only inspiration. We like looked up to you. And I was like, you know what? I can't this opportunity up, man. If I get the opportunity to make it, I got to do what I have to do to put my city on, to represent my last name on my back, man, my family, my friends. And
Yawn. Like I said, he's a complete narcissist. LeBron James, he recognizes his God-given gifts that God gave him. So much so that there's been rumors of him being on PEDs. That's cheating the game. And there's many people that believe that LeBron has been committed to cheating the game. I think there's something there to that. I don't know exactly what he might have been doing. If it's not PEDs, at the very least, LeBron has cheated the game by quitting on his teams, trading himself to multiple franchises in order to take shortcuts to win by stacking the deck. So tonight, it's not about LeBron's potential PED use, okay? But it's just about breaking down this clout chasing interview. This is nothing but a clout chasing interview.
We gotta do.
Okay. So that was Sports Tea. Any thoughts about those comments?
Nah, I have nothing. I have nothing on that.
I'm gonna leave it alone. But yeah, I understand we don't. You know, LeBron's not the most likable NBA player of all time, and there's reasons for that. But sometimes I feel people are nitpicking and, you know, kind of over exaggerating some things. I just feel a little bit, but you know, I mean, what he was saying wasn't that bad in my. Like I said, I've listened to this, and part of it, I thought LeBron was, you know, a likable guy from his answers. You know, he answered it like he was sitting at a barbershop or something like that. He didn't answer it in a, you know, in a professional manner. He was more, you know, loose and just kind of like, you know, he was with some friends. He was with people that he felt comfortable with.
Yeah, to have a conversation with.
Yeah. So so I just, you know, I see what she's saying, but you know, I believe LeBron's narcissistic. I mean, we've heard him, you know, through these clips, we've heard some of that, but going, you know, it was a little scathing to me a little bit from some of her commentary.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. Like I say too, you know what I mean? Like I get it. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Literally, it is what it is. I'm never, I'm not like too high, too low on the dude. You know what I mean? Like again. Because I just feel like I'm not saying that this is what Dom does. I love Dom. Dom's dope. You know what I mean? Like I've I've grown to love her content, and I
Yeah.
send her clips, and we talk about things via text and stuff like that. It's not uh, anything beyond that, right? Like, so I don't know her
Yeah.
as a person, so to speak, but from what I get from her takes, etc., online. So I'm not saying that she's necessarily making the kind of content that you have to have all this visceral form. She has obvious
Yeah.
visceral for the dude, and
Yeah.
the dude repulses her, but it's his antics more than anything else that
Yeah.
I'll
I agree.
typically take from like a lot of her discourse. And but I say again, for me, I don't necessarily feel like have any I don't have anything against, what I mean, the dude personally.
Yeah.
Not that she or many people who make content about him have anything personal, what I mean, against him. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, it's like, I call into question how durable this dude has been throughout his career. And
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Just how it just doesn't line up. It just doesn't make sense that he could still be operating at this kind of a level for this long. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You know what I mean? But what I say that's necessarily because of PED use, no, not necessarily. Could just be
Yeah.
incredibly
Yeah.
gifted. I'll tell you, and I'll submit to you that I am 48 years old, bro. And
Mm-hmm.
at 48, even for myself, you know what I mean? I don't have any um, back issues or anything ailing me, you know what I mean, to the
Yeah.
degree of, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have achy knees, and I was an athlete. I don't have a crickly back. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have
Yeah.
anything bothering me that's like, um, you know what I mean? Like, that would suggest that somehow my age just the problem. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
some people are just that. You know what I mean? Where I hear people in their early 30s, like, bro, once I turned 30, it was hard to get out of bed. It was this, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, dang,
I've heard
what's
it
wrong
plenty
with y'all
times. Yeah.
bodies? Yeah, your bodies are breaking down too early, and so it's really, so some of us, maybe some of us do have these bodies that just allow
Mm-hmm.
us to, you know what I mean? I'm 6'6", 2. I stepped on a scale and I went in for a doctor's appointment a couple weeks ago. I'm 6'6", like 255, right? So I'm too
Mm-hmm.
heavy in my mind for my frame, but I still have an athletic frame. I still have a, you know what I mean? Like, I still have my muscle. I still these things is
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and I don't work out. I haven't been because of my, you know what I mean, my hand injury, but
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? So it's been almost 2 years that I haven't even been able to, you know what I mean? Like, do the
Yeah.
thing, but so some people are just gifted that, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
Like,
mean, good genetics.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, just genetics are just good
Yeah.
genetics. So I wouldn't necessarily call into question his, you know what I mean, like being on PEDs and blah, but I do find it very peculiar, you know what I mean, that he wouldn't respond to it. It's almost like I'm not even gonna dignify silly shit by addressing it. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna address that. I'm not even gonna dignify that with a response, but it does stand to like a whole bunch of things seem real fishy around it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like from the
Yeah.
steroid jaw, you know what I mean, that he had D way he had and had to have
Mm-hmm.
surgery on it. LeBron starts rocking the beard after that. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like there are a lot of things that are kind of like, I don't know, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I
I
wouldn't
mean, I'm 44,
accuse him of
and
being on PEDs. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, it makes you think, especially once you're a certain age and you know how your body is. I mean, I'm 6'6" as well,
Mm,
and I need sometimes if I do certain things aren't the greatest.
mm,
Have back issues every now and then, but for the most part, I'm healthy. But I could never go out there and do what he's doing. Even on
right.
my best day, I couldn't. It just wouldn't. My body just would say, no, that's not going to happen. I try
Right.
to, I try to take on my son. It's just it ain't working now. So,
Mm.
what if what is true? Then LeBron is one of the greatest athletes ever because him being able to do what he's doing at such a high level at this age is just incredible. But
It's
if we find
incredible.
out something in the future, a lot of things will make sense. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I've never even
It,
touched
it,
on this
it would
topic.
it would totally be, I think it would be so devastating, bro. You know what I mean, to the
Yeah,
conversations around LeBron. I mean, obviously, if it ever was to come
yeah,
out, it would destroy basketball, to be honest.
yeah. I think
I
so
think it would
too.
destroy, I think it would be such a devastating blow to the integrity of the game that it would just literally destroy the game of basketball. The game of basketball certainly cannot stand
No, no,
that kind of negative backlash right now. Yeah, shit happened in baseball, around certain guys that we're still arguing, you know what I mean? Like, should not be inducted into the Hall
Yeah.
of Fame. It's tarnished dudes' careers, man, to such a degree that some people feel like LeBron James is such a huge, has such a huge stature that it wouldn't detract from his, but it's just like, yeah, it would. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I
it would
almost
be.
feel like,
Yeah.
I almost feel like, I'm in favor of if the PEDs aren't fucking these guys' health up and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I'm literally personally, I'm for it. I'm like, man, if it can make them run faster, jump higher, we can make them do some things that we ain't never seen.
We don't have any early deaths or anything like that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If there's not any side effects that are
yeah.
leading to killing these dudes,
Yeah.
like I'm not against it in any sport. Like they use somebody, they can swallow something and it'll make them run super fast. Let's see how fast they can run. Like I would feel more comfortable if they were at least forthcoming about it. You know what I mean? In that respect. But if we're just gonna do this and we're gonna lie about it, then you know what I mean? But I think that it would definitely be devastating, man, for it to come out. You know what I mean? Like in the wash that this dude is literally doing something weird.
Is I would rather it go to the grave with him than come out, because I think it opens a can of worms that the NBA, especially right now and even the future, don't need, because then so many things, they don't become alive because Peds or whatever are not going to put the ball in the basket for you. They can't shoot for you.
Right.
But having that to kind of have something that will help you some, that can keep you on the court and kind of keep you from being injured and all these other things, and keep your body in a way that you can play all these years and shatter all these records. It's going to put a huge blemish on the game, and people, I think that's the biggest, that'll push people even further away if that came out that LeBron was just, all of this was a lie, because he was he was doing the things
actually
he was doing. Yeah,
it'll be crazy, man.
Yeah, and I hope it's not. I hope that's not the case. I'm not a LeBron fan, but I hope I think I just hope he's who he is, and we can honor him as he fades off into the sunset. I don't want that whole backlash and all that's going to come with that. So with that said, we're gonna move on. We got my man Rob Parker. Not a an actual journalist, but not the biggest LeBron fan himself, but he's got some things to say.
Some dirty laundry and deal with this stuff. I mean, we can't ignore it. Let's just be honest. We cannot ignore what's happening out there in the atmosphere between Stephen A. Smith, LeBron James, and it's ugly. LeBron went to IG, put some stuff out there on Stephen A. Stephen A. opened up First Take today, went ballistic on LeBron, and this is just crazy. We do have Stephen A.'s comments to open up, and I think it went for 15 minutes to start the show on First Take. Let's hear it.
I suggest that he be happy with the things that I haven't brought up. I never brought up really and never really discussed why you were not at Kobe Bryant's memorial service. I never really brought up or discussed why you did not attend Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame induction when that man was directly responsible for you capturing a championship for the first time in your career. I brought up none of that. I didn't bring up the fact that even though when people had asked, you had alluded to what had happened tragically to your son, and thank God he's okay with his heart condition. I didn't bring up the fact that even though you couldn't go to the Hall of Fame induction of Dwayne Wade weeks earlier, you were out of the country on business. I didn't bring that up. That's your personal business, okay? But the fact is, you wasn't at the Hall of Fame induction of a brother that's going to drastically assist to you being a Hall of Famer, because he helped you become the champion that you are, and he was a big brother to you. I brought up none of these things. But LeBron James, at the end of the day, wants to come at me, and he's walking around pouting.
All right, what was your take on this?
Man, well, if we're going the full thing, including, LeBron's post on social media, I'll tell you what, man, it's gotten extremely petty and it's gotten extremely personal, and I didn't see this portion of it coming, because both of them are knee deep in their profession, and that's the part to me that is shocking. is because for all things people say about Stephen A. Smith, one thing for the most part, for his long career being in the public eye, he doesn't really go personal for the most part. He can say a lot about your game. He can say a lot about this, but he tries to keep it on the playing fields or courts of said sports. But when he brought up there, I'm not going to bring up that you didn't go to the Kobe Bryant Memorial. That's when I knew, oh, this is beyond just some, we're just having a little petty war. This is personal, because he had to double back on Instagram and say, I'm sorry, I was incorrect. He was there. That wasn't my main point, but I do want to apologize because he was there. And that to me shows how wrapped up in this Stephen A. is, because he's been very professional, been a journalist. So for him to kind of not check on that before he said it shows me he's locked in, ready for war with this, because he is now doing stuff he normally doesn't do. Let's go to LeBron. LeBron is trying to wrap up a season in the NBA, trying to get the team the top 3-4 seed. LeBron's trying to get ready to maybe try to have a chance to win a 5th ring, but instead he's being petty. LeBron is going on ESPN, but instead of going on with the guy I got the feud with and let's hash it out on TV, no, I'm going to go to Pat McAfee, somebody who is, newer to ESPN, and I'm going to help his show. I'm going to help his ratings. I'm going to help his social media followings, and that's going to be a way of taking another stab at Stephen A. And then I'm going to talk back about Stephen A. He's in his tighties and his undies, onedies, tidy whiteys,
right?
And going at Stephen A. And going at him, and then so to the point later on today, Stephen A. talking about he's the type of guy, LeBron, that will put a smile on your face and put a knife in your back. This is going way beyond just a normal jab or two. This is personal. This is something that is clearly those two are going to have to work out, because this is real for them. And it's disappointing to see two brothers I know who are extremely professional and take what they do seriously to go this far, because it's not – where does it stop? LeBron's posting little videos of Stephen A., working out, punching, and making fun of him there. Stephen A. saying what he's saying. Where does it stop, Rob? And that's the thing that, to me, makes me go, well, now it's going to have – because eventually does Stephen A. have to say something he's been holding back in the chamber for 15, 20 years? Does LeBron have to, then do something, say something he's been holding for 10, 15 years? Like, where is the line? And I think we have now across that where I'm worried it's going to get – it can't come back.
I got to say this, and full transparency. Everybody knows Stephen A. and I are friends, okay?
Right.
I'm not even going to sit here and act like, okay, we're friends. Not TV friends, not friends because we're in the same business. We're friends.
Right.
Okay? But I'm going to tell you this. I think LeBron James is totally unprofessional. And I'm going to say that. And you can push back on me that Stephen A. is going back at him and whatnot. But this all started where LeBron confronted Stephen A. in a public setting, like warning this reaction, warning people to know whether you can make your point without having to do that. People can say, well, Stephen A. said his on TV. That's what he does for his living. Stephen A. didn't buy a TV station to rip Bronny. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right. That's what he does. He works on television. Right. And number two, LeBron is the one who won't let it go. I thought you made your point. Don't talk about my son, whatever. Stephen A. was there. There were no blows exchanged. Stephen A. said what he had to say, and that should have been the end of it. Why are you continuing this?
I think. Okay, so the gist of that. Do you think LeBron has been unprofessional in this, whatever you want to call it, this beef or war between him and Stephen A.? And, what do you think about, that little talking point?
Well, I don't know that I think he's, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's being ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, I think that all of it, from the confrontation, from the point of confrontation and everything else, I just think that it's all out of whack. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think it was incredibly unprofessional of him as a pro athlete to confront a person in the stands. You know what I mean? Like, that was incredibly ridiculous and unprofessional. You know what I mean? Journalists or not. You know what I mean? Like you're a pro athlete. You're side on the sideline as though every eye in the arena damn near ain't on your every
Yeah.
move. So for you to that I think was incredibly unprofessional.
Mm-hmm.
The constant distraction of like talking about it, tweeting about it, you know what I mean? Does like, yeah, or you know, even the Richard Jefferson, yeah, bro, I'm saying I just couldn't, you know what I mean? Like all of that is
Yeah.
just like, come
Yeah.
on, bro. It's like, but
Yeah.
again, it speaks to me. It speaks more to his poor showing character wise than anything else. You know what I mean? Like so, but
Mm-hmm.
that fits. You know what I mean? Like what I think of him. So it's just like it makes sense. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that
Yeah.
lines up with the kind of character that he's shown to have. That makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Like so, I don't see
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, I don't see anything unprofessional about his responses in the media. Like he's talking about it because it's topic of discussion and people are, you know what I mean, like wanting to talk to him about it. Like I get it,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean, but
I
at the
agree.
same time, like I said, I think it's ridiculous overall. You know what I mean? I think that he's looked like, you know what I mean, like.
He's looked like something.
I'll just use the initials BAN. You know what I mean? Like I think he's been a BAN about it,
Yes. I
and
think
Stephen
everybody
A.
knows
Smith
what that
as
means.
well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
so, it is what it is, man. You know what I
I
mean?
don't see
Like
how either guy comes off looking good in this situation. It's good for us because we can talk about it and it gives us some further content to create, but
mm,
it just seems like he said, if LeBron was serious about what he said to Stephen A. Smith, I think he should just let it go. He said what he had to say. Move on.
mhm,
There's no more to say. He said what he had to say. So move on. He knows Stephen A. What he does is talk. So of course he's
right,
going to speak about it. That's
right,
what he gets paid to do. That's what he signed his $100 million contract to do is talk, and he's going to talk about what the people want to hear. ESPN is
right,
going to agree for him to do that. They're going to want him to do that. So they want to hear about this. They want to hear his feelings about this. But if I'm LeBron James, I have a son. I'm not sure, if you have kids, but I have a son, and he's playing ball. We just got back from a tournament. If somebody said something about him, and I've heard stuff, they were chanting something at him when he fouled out. He just dropped, I don't know how many points on that team, but he fouled out. I'm sitting next to, other people over there chanting something for him to get off the court. It's hard as a father, but that's a part of the game. That's what it's about.
right,
If they're talking about you, you're doing something right. So
right.
that's how I feel. So, so
That's funny.
once he said what he said to Stephen A., that should have been it. There's nothing else to discuss. Let's move on. I'm here. I'm a basketball player. I don't need beef with the media journalist guy. Let's keep going. But
Right.
I didn't, like you said, I think the addressing him on the sidelines was very unprofessional because that's going to open up, other guys think they can do that. And I think,
Yo,
yeah. And I think when I was in the Format podcast when they were talking about how David Stern probably wouldn't have let that slide, and
right.
how Adam Silver just kind of I don't think he sees anything, but you can't let that slide because then
Yeah,
15th
I think
man
that
on
that was
the team.
incredibly classless. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
For
exactly.
Silver not to address it, for them not to reprimand LeBron. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I was driving down to me and my lady were traveling one weekend and Bruce was on, so I had him playing in the car and I called into a
Mhm.
show, man. And I was just like, bro, I'm like, bro, like that the precedence that sets is,
Yeah,
I mean, it is preposterous, bro. So for
exactly.
you to allow, you know what I mean, him to get away with that is next level
Hmm.
dangerous. You know what I mean? Because if every player begins to take license, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, or feels like they have license now to approach journalists or whomever it is in the
Hmm.
public when they have an issue with them, like we in trouble, bro, or they are
Yeah.
in trouble. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's just like, bro, that's not cool. You know what I mean? Like that's on any level, that's not cool. And
Yeah.
so I
And
don't agree with them not addressing it. I don't agree with them not making a big deal
exactly.
out of it. I don't agree with them not suspending him because of it. You know what I mean? All of it to me, bro, is just it's just wrong, bro. It's
Yeah.
really, really wrong. And
Yeah,
so something
this
is definitely
yeah,
wrong with that. You know what I mean? Like if
yeah,
there's
I
anything
agree.
wrong with anything, it's that, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that right there, specifically that.
But they need
Such a
ratings.
terrible mess.
So that's how I feel. They need ratings. So, I'm gonna move on. But this is next part. This is from Cemetery Larry himself, the Guild Arena crew.
My
This is a little
God.
more lighthearted, but let's hear what they got to say about some of this whole ordeal.
We got a video of Stephen A's response of throwing hands. Can we cue up the throwing hands, LeBron, man?
You see, when he approached me while I was sitting courtside at that game against the New York Knicks, when he rolled up on me, I didn't know he was going to roll up on me. I had no idea. But when he said what he had to say, I was in no position to give any kind of retort without making a scene. It was during the third quarter. It was fresh out of a timeout. It was him walking to the basketball court. It was on national television. The cameras were rolling. And had I done something, what do y'all want me to do? You want me to act? You want this to be a reincarnation of Chris Rock and Will Smith? And let me state for the record that while we bring up that, let me assure you, it wouldn't have gone down like that. I would have gotten my ass kicked. Because had that man put his hands on me, I would have immediately swung on him. Immediately. That I'm not going to tolerate.
Y'all,
Come on, man.
y'all buying it?
Boy, if you don't knock it out,
Right,
that
yeah,
man,
man, come on, man.
250 out. Hey,
He said
beat the
swung.
dog shit out of Stephen A. Smith, man. Stephen
Right,
A.
I would have preferred him say sue. I would have sued the shit out of him. Something like that. Like I would have just sued him. Like it would have been funnier. Like he would have related better. He said swing back home, man.
Still in it.
Yeah, 'cause he was
Crazy, bro.
Okay, so do you believe Stephen A would have swung at LeBron James if he had swung on?
No, I don't believe that.
Nah.
I don't believe that. But I mean, I think that as a man, you have to protect yourself. You know what I mean? So I mean, I don't disbelieve him. Let me
Yeah.
clarify that. I do not disbelieve him by saying that he would have swung on that man. Like he would have had to swing on him. Like what else is a man gonna do in that position? You know what I mean? Like, but protect himself. And so I don't disagree. I don't disagree that he would have had no choice but to knuckle up. You know what I mean? In that moment, like you got to, bro. Like what else are you gonna do? That man just literally disrespected you, bro.
It's a
He
natural
put
reaction.
his hands on. Yeah, he put his hands on you, bro. Like it is time for that man to.
Yeah.
I mean, at least there's got to be some kind of scuffle. So it's got to be something going on there that shows that, bro. Like you're not cool with somebody just walking up to you putting their hands on you. It's like, come on, bro. Like what are we talking about here? So yeah, I believe him that he would have swung. He would have had to swing. Like what else is he gonna do? What else? Why would he not swing? You know what I mean? Like, why would I don't know why he or any man wouldn't swing. You know what I mean? Or defend himself in that respect. So
you definitely need something.
I've seen Stephen punching. I just wanted to end with. I've seen him punching on the little thing that everybody's making fun of and all that. But man, I've also seen women knock men out who ain't never been in a real fight. Had to knuckle up like I had to knuckle up growing up. To have scars on your fist like I have on my fist, like teeth bites in the you know what I mean, in the knuckle, like teeth prints in both my knuckles, like fighting growing up in DC, like bro, like. And I've watched some women knock men smack out. You know what I mean? Like I've witnessed it. So that doesn't mean that just because he looks funny punching on the video, man, he can't punch. You know, like don't get it twisted. You can get
your back is
slid
against the
around.
wall.
Yeah, you get slid around out here playing around, just underestimating people, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm sure he don't want to mess that $100 million bag up. So
you know that's a bigger conversation. I feel like too. Is that literally happened, bro, on the heels of him signing that deal. You know what I mean? So I'm sure that he's riding a high that's like he wasn't even in his body, bro. I'm sure Stephen A. Smith was not even in his body that night. Like he's there at a Laker game now. He's just thinking about this $100 million plus contract that he signed. He's probably thinking, bro, this is fucking incredible, bro. Like I can remember the days of just being all the way up there. You know what I mean? And he wasn't even in his body, bro. Like that's not even. I would have expected nothing different from him, as far as a reaction, because bro, the Phoenix Suns honored one of my companies here a couple weeks
Mhm.
ago. And if somebody had walked up on me in that moment as I'm sitting, you know what I mean, there at the game, watching the game like I was watching, I would have reacted the same way. I don't care who it was. I would have just been like, bro, I'm not even in my body right now.
Yeah, I mean, I
Like, do
don't
you
care.
see what's
Yeah.
happening and what I'm here about to do?
Yeah.
Like, I'm about to literally get to take the mic and address 17,000 people in here. And you know what I mean? Like, man, make a big to do about it. And the Suns are making a big to do about it tonight. Like, bro, I wasn't even in my body that night. You know what I mean? Like, I would not have been I would have been on some thug. I would have choked them out. I would have shut up. No, you would not have. You know what I mean? Like, what are you saying? What are
You would have moved
what are we
on
even talking
and
about?
continued your high. Yeah, I mean, and congratulations on that.
Yeah. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. Yeah, again, even in that moment, I wouldn't have been like, you know what I mean? Like, I need to be on some thug. You know what I mean? Like, let me get on my thug. We did that. Like, come on, bro. I'd have been like, all right, well, I'm not gonna forget. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But and now,
yeah,
depending on the level of respect, if it would have gotten a little bit deeper than that, you know what I mean? Then would it just look like homies? You know what I mean? Being like, bro, I want to appreciate that I came out to your show and you wouldn't let my son came out and you wouldn't let him get on the stage at your show, bro. Stop picking on my son, bro, because you won't let him perform. You letting everybody else feature at your show and you won't give him a 30-minute feature. And I'm gonna be like, man, nigga, we could knuckle up. It's like, what?
I
That's
know.
not even. That's like, come on, bro. Like, yeah, all right. You know what I mean? Like, you say so. Now I'm not gonna forget that, bro. I was in this element having a great
Yeah.
time, and people are looking at me because of what I just did out there at center court. And you know, I'm slapping high fives, and I'm feeling like I'm back in my athlete days. We go through the tunnel, and kids are wanting to high five from me and asking for autographs. All kinds of crazy stuff was happening. It's just like, yo, people got signs in there. You know what I mean? That support the show, and they're so happy. And I'm gonna come down out of that. You know what I mean?
Just
To be in that.
yeah,
No, I
next
would not have.
full.
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna forget. So I might see you gonna be like, hey, bro, you know, man, what
Yeah.
you that was disrespectful, bro. You know what I mean? There wasn't a time or place to do that right there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But yeah, nah, bro. That
Yeah.
man wasn't even in his body, bro. Like,
Yeah,
come
I
on, bro.
mean, he handled it right, and like I said, he
Right.
don't care. He just signed that contract, so he ain't gonna do nothing to
Right.
mess
He
that
was
up. And
floating, bro.
yeah,
That's the most money he's ever made, bro. Like he wasn't even present,
yeah, I'm
bro.
sure
Like,
Skip over there looking like, can I get
yeah,
that? Can
bro.
I get back in that good graces, man?
Man, that man was not even in his body, bro. I'm not even buying that, bro. Like that man was literally not in his body that night. There's no way anybody's gonna convince me that he was in his body, in his mind, thinking, you know what I mean, like to be
Yeah,
gangster about anything, bro. Like that's come on, bro. Come on.
I completely agree, but
It's like let's not. I ain't questioning. I'm not questioning his manhood because he
no,
didn't. You know what I mean? Challenge that man to a duel and slap him with his glove in that moment. You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah.
like, come on, bro.
I mean, it probably just threw him off. Like, you know, he enjoying the game. He thinking about, like you said, he on the high. He thinking about that $1 million contract. He just put pen to paper. And
Right.
LeBron coming up is like, okay, well, all right. We'll address this later. But I'm gonna sit here and enjoy the rest of this game.
Yeah.
But with that said, we've almost gone 2 hours. I do appreciate you joining up with the channel. And
For
if
sure.
you're part of my channel, if you haven't, right after this ends, go over to type in @opinion stated. You'll see his logo. It'll come up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell and check his stuff out. Like I said, he's given me some inspiration these last couple of months.
I appreciate
And
that,
I
bro.
appreciate it. And he's got some really good content. So please go check him out. He's, you know, we're gonna get you to 500 here in a little while. And
Yeah, I appreciate
that's how I
that.
feel. We gotta all just, you know, we're all in this together. So we all gotta, you know, just all do this to, you know, just help each other grow. You know, that's
Yeah.
the best way to
I
do it.
appreciate that, bro. I definitely appreciate that too, man. I want to say thank you, and I appreciate. I'm like 20 subscribers away or something like that, man, from the first 500. So yeah, I
man,
appreciate any subs, any support. Tell you know, check the channel. All I say, you know what I mean. Like, if you appreciate what I'm doing, then definitely, you know what I mean. Like, give us a
definitely
give
high
us a sub.
level basketball talk and
I appreciate it.
analysis. You know, he don't, you know, he don't hold no punches, but you're fair. That's all we can ask about is you know, have a fair commentary
Right.
about, you
Right. That's
know,
what it's about,
about
bro.
this thing. Yeah.
That's what
So
it's
thank
about,
you for
bro. That's
joining
what it's
me,
about.
you know.
I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for having me, man. I was thrilled to come on. So definitely look forward to collaborating with you. You know what I mean? Like in the future too, man. So I'll definitely say that to folks, man. Like obviously if y'all rocking with CW, man, then y'all already know. And the dude's incredible, but reached out to me and asked me if I was open to collaboration. I'm like, yeah, bro, it's in my bio, ain't it? Like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. I'm so serious and trying to,
Yeah.
kind of build things out and create and carve a lane for myself in this space, and not necessarily just to do it to be like, yo, I want to be like some big YouTuber. I personally watch and have watched basketball for many years. You know what I mean? And so for me, I'm like, why wouldn't I talk about it, and I'm you know what I mean? Like, I talk about it for free. And so why would I not, you know what I mean, like, be all for doing it in this space, you know what I mean? And so so for that reason, I definitely appreciate the shout, man.
No
It's
problem.
a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, bro. But I talk about basketball for free now. Like, my lady was like, start a channel. I'm sure there's some people that want to hear, you know what I mean? Like, I'm always talking about basketball, and I've been watching for many years, bro. So it makes sense.
Yeah, and like I said, you will get some nuggets, some knowledge nuggets there, and some, just some really good commentary. Really, like I said, fair and unbiased commentary. We got a lot of that going on around these YouTube streets, where it's not as unbiased as you want it to be, but you call it both ways, and we appreciate that. So with that said, we're going to end it up. Any parting words? Like I said, if you haven't, check out Opinion Stated. Great commentary and just good videos. And hopefully you enjoyed this. I'm gonna try to do these a little more often. Hopefully we can get Q back here for some more ready for the reaction. I'm gonna try to stream a little more, and hopefully you guys will come out and watch. But with that said, I'm gonna end this night out at 11 o'clock and go to sleep, because I've been in the gym all day. So
Non-stop, bro. Non-stop. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, no problem. You have a good one.
All right, you too, bro. Blessings.
Yeah.